AM 1220 KDOW and Money 2.0 present The Real Estate Report with Tony Mendez and Gordon Hines. Bay Area real estate and mortgage experts with over 25 years in the business. Now, with an in-depth look at this week's local and national real estate news and what it means for you. Your hosts, Tony Mendez and Gordon Hines.
Welcome in and welcome back to the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
Thanks for being with us today. 6 to 7 drive time special. Took it away from you this time.
Right. we love people out there in their cars. As I spoke last week, people in their self-driving car just relaxing and listening to us on the radio.
Yeah.
So we've got it made.
I'm still sure that makes a lot of people nervous. Be careful out there in the rain, definitely. This is a Real Estate Report. It's a call-in show, 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. Anything real estate related, Bay Area, nationally, anything in the state. And there's a lot of news today, a lot of things that we're going to go over. Gordon's been in the real estate business for 25 years as a realtor, broker. You've even you've owned a restaurant, I think, and a bunch of other businesses many years ago. So he's been around. You also do a lot of renovations and flips. I think one of our themes today, Gordon, as I continue looking at some of the news that's coming out of the, out of 2017 and the projections for 2018, construction. Yeah, we saw a little bit of dip in new home constructions, and the dip in the sentiment from contractors and builders going, 6 months forward and a year forward. But the one that is not lagging at all is renovation. The renovation index is up significantly. What would you tell somebody today looking at a renovation as opposed to, or maybe an addition as opposed to trying to sell and upgrade or downgrade? I think this seems to be the trend right now, isn't it? People seem to be locked in their home. They have a good interest rate, and they're looking for ways to, tap that equity. Maybe a refinance makes sense. Tell us a little bit about what you think people mindset are.
Well, if you ever want to be a contractor, now's a great time. As we talked on the show before, behind every dark cloud, there's a silver lining. So anytime you see bad weather, construction is going to pick up. Just like we had the fires up in Northern California here in Napa. Now you can't get a contractor. These guys are all busy. I know people are talking. There's a lady, she was telling me she's trying to remodel her bathroom for the last year, and she can't find a contractor simply because the job is too small. She says a lot of guys, they're so busy. Her little small 5x8 bathroom is not a big enough job when they're sending the jobs out that the contractors can make so much more money. So if you want to be a contractor, now's the great time.
I don't know what's too small. My neighbor is a contractor, and we did a transaction. The woman took $25,000 out. She wanted to out of her house and wanted to do her garage, and it was easily $25,000. I'm not sure exactly what she was going to do, and I referred it to him, and he says that's too small. So yeah. He's driving to the peninsula every day from the East Bay just so he can have these big jobs. So the remodeling index, it hit its 60th quarter. Not the 60th month in a row, but it was 19 consecutive quarters that the RMI, the index, has been over or above 50, over and above. Right now it's at 60. This remodeling index is amazing. It's just showing that it comes out from the National Association of Home Builders. It's saying basically that remodelers are reporting higher activity and they expect more activity down the road. But they are experiencing some problems, backlog jobs. The fourth quarter RMI reading is consistent, quote unquote, with recent growth in improvement spending. However, the jump in the backlog of remodeling jobs sub-index serves as an indication that remodelers are still facing significant supply-side challenges, such as a lack of skilled labor and high material price. So we're seeing this nationwide, Gordon.
Yeah, a few contractors, a friend of mine told me they buy some materials from Home Depot. They say, Gordon, if I don't get there early enough, we just don't have the material to get in order to work on our job for that day. So, as the real estate goes, as remodeling goes, as prices go up, different options are coming out. Disasters come. There's a lot of demand for contractors. A lot of demand. People looking to stay in their homes. The state of California just passed auxiliary housing law. There are people that are adding rooms onto the house, converting the garage into living space to get the extra rent. So a lot of things going on. That's all very, very viable and very good news for the real estate business.
All right. So tip number one, if you're looking for a job, maybe going into contracting, there's just such a backlog right now. Everybody's looking for, even if it's small, maybe a handyman service. I know a guy in Utah, handyman service. But as a homeowner, we're seeing a lot of people with equity. We're seeing a lot of people that can't move to a replacement property, so they're focusing on the property they own, and incomes and jobs are up. So you have a combination of just people want to spend money on their house, and it brings up a question of how do they get the money out of the house. There's several ways. Contractor financing. We're going to talk about each one of these briefly. Equity lines. You can take it out of your savings. You can do what they call a total refinance. Losing my voice here. Cash out and then credit card. So what's your favorite? Do you think it's going to depend on your situation, your cash flow, how soon you can pay an equity line back, how much savings do you have, can you replenish those savings? As far as our business is concerned on the mortgage side, an equity line or what they call a total refinance, we can talk a little bit more about those. How often are you seeing people struggling to decide which one makes more sense? An equity line, if they have a good first loan with a good interest rate, they don't want to touch it, and then they're looking at equity lines. Right now it's prime plus, it could be prime plus a quarter, prime plus a half. You're looking in the mid to upper fours, and that could go higher even further. So you may not be able to pay that money back in time. And then you look at a total refinance, and rates have just gone up a little bit. We're back over 4% right now for a 30-year fixed. Cash outs are a little bit higher than that. Which one makes sense?
Well, I think every particular circumstance is a different opinion. A lot of times I have clients that have a 3.5% 30-year fix that they got 3 years ago. They're looking for money. They need money. They don't want to touch the 30-year fix, but if they look at the equity line, they're going into an adjustable rate mortgage. Sometimes you have to look at the overall blended rate together might be more than the 4%. So you have to look at the particular circumstance. How long are you going to be in this loan for? What's your exit strategy as a long term? I always tell people, you got to have a strategy. If you're going to go and take an equity line and go ahead and use that money to put into the property, what's your long-term goal? When are you going to pay that money back? You're going to get a big bonus. You're going to sell your Bitcoin stock and pay it off. You have to have an exit strategy when you start looking at alternative methods of financing outside of the standard 30-year fix.
So we're going to continue this theme throughout the show. Again, you can call it 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. One of the new Bay Area trends are homeowners are taking advantage of loosening laws, local and city, county laws, allowing them to build small dwellings known as granny units in their backyard. We're going to talk a little bit about that and how that trend is really picking up in the Bay Area and really across the West just because of the demand of housing. So if you want to join that conversation, call the show, 800-516-1220. But yeah, I do agree that you have to look at the whole situation, whether or not a total refinance or an equity line looks better on your balance sheet. Maybe you do a total refinance, pay off some credit card debt, maybe even a car loan. We'll get into that one day. That doesn't always make sense. Take a little bit of cash out and maybe re-amortize your loan, get a decent rate, and it makes more sense for you out of your pocket for the next short term. So there's some things that you can really work on and to help manage that cash flow.
As you know, the biggest stumbling block now, as we talked before, with the equity lines are, of course, they're no longer tax deductible. So it depends on how big of a equity line you have. But, $20,000 equity line does not make a difference. But you have a $200,000, $300,000 equity line. I know some people do on those scales. That interest is no longer deductible. That could be a lot of interest that you're forgiven because you don't want to refinance out that short, low rate 30-year fix. So you got to look at how you can pencil out. Remember, go back to your professional, talk to your financial planner. There's all kinds of programs that they can go in and what-if scenarios and come out with the best possible solution. You don't have to guess anymore. You don't have to talk to Cousin Vinny. Talk to a financial planner, plan it out, and see what works best for you.
Cousin Vinny could be anybody. Could be
anybody.
Guys making sub sandwiches down the shop. He may be your cousin, but it doesn't mean he makes good subs. Freddie Mac weekly survey showing the 30-year fixed over 4% for the first time since last summer. 15-year and the 5-went ARM also hitting short-term highs, 3.49 and 3.46 respectively. Rates spiked more than normal yesterday and then repeated the feat today, combined with the weakness in underlying bond markets, which drive mortgage rates. That began on Tuesday afternoon, and the average lender is roughly blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we're seeing rates go up. We're seeing high balance rates go up. I think what we're saying here is that next week's survey, because they come out Wednesday to Wednesday, we're going to see next week's survey maybe even a little bit higher based on what's going on in the stock market. There's a lot of fear, Gordon, that not only are we going to see the Fed increase their interest rates, we're going to see the bond market, the rally just fall out from underneath all the investors, and we're going to see worldwide pullback from buying U.S. Treasuries and fixed assets.
Well, I hope
which would drive rates higher.
Yeah, I hope not. Because this is our market. This is where we make our living. So any economic news that's not good, I'm not a fan of. I don't even like talking about it because I like to spread positive news. I believe positive thoughts bring about positive results. So once they start those gloom and doom reports, I kind of look the other direction because those are counterproductive to our business.
I don't want to say it's counterproductive. I think people should always be aware of what's out there. And you will hear a lot of people try to use those scare tactics, Gordon. Get these rates while they last, get them before they go up, and then when they're going down, they go get them while they're going down. So, and you're going to start hearing, because we've been in such a trend with just maybe a half a point difference back and forth over so many months and quarters that we're just looking for something. But
well, I remember Y2K. I mean, these guys were talking. These experts, 50-year computer consultants. These guys were talking about the world was going to come to an end because these computers were on a 2-point scale instead of a 4-point scale. It never happened. Companies spent millions and millions of dollars invested in technology that didn't really existed. So that's what I mean by those gloom and doom reports that people are prophetizing from. I was kind of stay away from.
So we're in the third week of 2018. 2017 closed with strong numbers for price growth, up 7% in December as well. For the full year of 2017, home sales increased 1.7% over 2016, while price gains were 7%. The median 2017 sales price was $284,500. That's nationwide. Nationally, home prices rose 6.8% in December as inventory declined 14.5%. San Jose had the highest price growth and lowest supply of homes in December of all Redfin. Of course, this is a Redfin report. Of all Redfin metros, December prices climbed 32% compared to the last year's as the supply sunk to as low as 0.5 months, all according to Redfin. So it's 27 months in a row of inventory declines nationwide. The typical home sold in December found that a house found a buyer after 49 days on the market, 5 days fewer than 2016. So depending on what side of the transaction you're, it's a hot market.
Well, I overheard you on the phone this morning telling a person about Alameda where you live. There's X amount of realtors and X amount of homes sold last month, and you're wondering how these realtors are actually financing themselves if there's so many realtors for so little sales because of inventory.
And even some of the experienced ones that we know have been busy for many, many, many years, they're starting to reach out and say, "Hey, what do you got going?"
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that in a while. It doesn't mean that realtor is any less successful. It just means that, it's just not a gluttony of buyers. And they may have a gluttony of buyers, but they don't have the inventory to sell them. I had one realtor in East Bay call me and say, I had to take a listing in Antioch. 30, whatever. How far is Antioch? Maybe an hour and a half?
Probably about 50,
depending on traffic.
Minutes, yeah.
But, I mean, if you're showing a house in Antioch and you live in East Bay, I mean, that's a heck of a commute, especially if you're...
Well, I've had another realtor say, Gordon, if I get a referral from a client as a buyer, I really don't want to take it because my job is so much tougher. To probably find that buyer home is slim to none. I'd rather take a seller referral because it's a seller's market. So different things happen in different times, and I think we got to become creative in order to stay on top of our business, just like our business. Our business is very competitive. We found a way to do this for the year in, year out. We went through the crisis. I've been doing this thing 25 years. I've always been able to weather the storm because we reach out to different people. We do different things at different times to make sure we're successful.
So we're going to come back after this break. You know, always call the show 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. We're going to talk a little bit about San Jose, and they're facing the lowest supply on record. San Jose prices rose 31.9% year over year and had only 0.5 months of supply in December. What are people going to do there? Who knows? Well, there's a little bit more information.
Move to Gilroy.
Move to Gilroy. We'll come back after this break here on AM 1220 KDOW. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. You can always reach the show, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com. That's Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
Thanks for joining us today in your drive home.
Drive home. We're here every Thursday, 6 to 7.
Or if you listen to the podcast, you can always go to our website, BayAreaLoanSource.com, and get the podcast. There's a link there. We update those as often as we can. Facing the lowest supply on record, San Jose prices rose 31.9% year over year in December. San Jose only had 0.5 months of supply in December, the lowest monthly supply Redfin has ever recorded in any metro area. This means that if the pace of home sales continued and no homes were listed, it would take about 2 weeks for all the homes currently listed to sell. Seattle and Oakland also faced extremely tight markets with just 0.6 months of supply in Denver. I had somebody...
Could you imagine if that happened, you had a house for sale? What you'd get for it?
You get what somebody paid for it, I suppose. I wrote a really long email to a pair of teachers that have been renting for a very long period of time, and they've saved enough money for down payment, which, believe it or not, they $30,000. They want to buy a $600,000 place. Yes, you can do that, and they qualify. They just want to stop paying rent, and their rent keeps going up.
That's 5% they have that put down. Or they go FHA 3.5% down.
They can do FHA. They can do Fannie Mae. There's a lot of programs they can use. And I started doing this whole rant about how the East Bay is taking advantage, or I don't know, you could be taken advantage of, or it's taking advantage of people moving into the East Bay looking for a yard. And it could be simply as a yard in a single family house. And what's the state of the real estate market in the East Bay and beyond? It is fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of people from San Francisco, there's some buyers that just bought this house next to a property I own. I was talking to him. He said, well, the price that I paid for this house was just $780,000 in the city. I was looking at a 1-bedroom, not parking not included, but I wanted a yard. I wanted to be able to grow stuff in the yard, and I'm very, very happy and very, very lucky to be able to purchase this property. It was a fixer-upper, and he's taking his time fixing it, and he's going to make it a gem, diamond in the rough, if he's all.
And I think that's a little bit of what people want to do. You can't really do that with a condo. You definitely can't do that with an apartment without having a pretty aggressively loose landlord. But Seattle and Oakland, hometown here for a lot of people, and it's growing, and it's a bustling town. I love going downtown Oakland a lot more than I used to. In fact, I find myself in Oakland a lot more than I going to dinner and taking Bart to the city and things like that, and it's fantastic. And I think people are really starting to recognize that. And for somebody that's sitting on the sideline like that, going, okay, I saw it last year, it went up 15%, or what was it, 18%? I think Oakland went up.
Yeah.
That part of Oakland and Alameda County in general, and they're going to sit there again and they're going to watch it again. So I would say it's a pretty safe bet. You're going to build in some equity in the next year, regardless of what rates are doing. Remember, inventory right now is driving the market, and home prices 0.6 months of supply in December, which is what, 3 weeks ago. So San Jose, the fastest and most competitive market in December, with the typical home finding a buyer in 12 days on median, followed by Seattle and Oakland at 15 and 16 days respectively. More than 3/4 of San Jose homes sold for above list price. Again, yesterday we had a client. We wrote him a pre-approval letter, and I said, Gordon, this guy just fresh on the market. Friday we did the application. Tuesday he's out there getting a pre-approval, and Wednesday he's looking for houses. And I said, watch this guy get his offer accepted. And then the realtor called me last night about 7:00 and said, we got the offer accepted. I was like,
well, the reason why he got his offer accepted, because he put down almost half. And if in a competitive bid, a lot of clients look at, hey, this guy's putting out half, he's going to have a better shot at getting a loan, which we talk about. That's not factual, but to a seller, perception is real. And you have 3 offers at the same price, and one guy's putting down 50%, the guy's putting down 3% or 10%. The seller's going to opt to put the most amount of money because he figured the deal had the highest probability of closing.
And not only that, and this is something that I see a lot of people, like the teachers we were talking about, who only had $30,000 down. He was able to actually overbid on this, meaning that if the 5%, which means that if the property comes in below, as far as the appraisal is concerned, which is what they use to calculate your loan to value, your percentage of loan compared to the value, they use the lower of the two. He has some extra cash to cover that and pay the seller, whereas somebody who's on a $600,000 property putting $30,000 down, if they have to overbid 5% and the value comes in 5% lower, all of a sudden their down payment's gone. And what product out there is going to do 100%, and then they're stuck having to borrow some money or find a cheaper property, or just get out of the market to begin with. So put your best foot forward. Be prepared to have a little bit extra money to overbid, and that's what we're seeing in most cases. And in case the appraisal comes below what the actual selling price is. And
you're still covered. At 50%, the appraisal come in 20% less. Your loan is not affected. One of the things that you mentioned, Oakland, Oakland is booming, and everything we look at, there's restaurants, there's bars, there's small shops. One thing is still lacking. You know what that is? Department store.
Okay.
Still no department store really in Oakland.
Emeryville, I suppose. We'll come back after this break here on AM 1220 KDOW. I'm Tony Mendez. This is
Gordon Hines.
This is the Real Estate Report. You can always email the show, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
Gordon's been around the business for many, many years, twice as many years as I have. But I've been in financing, how many years now? 19 years?
But I'm not twice as old as you, so
You're
that's
not.
interesting. Wow. There goes
I have a lot of experience under my belt doing a lot of things. I was actually in contract. I had my own business in Virginia for many years.
Yeah, I told you should be like the Property Brothers. Tony
Property
had
Brothers.
he
Yeah, I
had
have a twin brother.
and
Yeah.
I said you should be in sales, and your brother, who is a contractor, should do a contract. You'd be
Yeah,
Drew
they-
and the other guy on the Property Brothers.
Yeah, it would be one of those weird shows where we kind of argue about everything. It's like, oh, I did this, better than you did. And I was like, okay, then it'd last one episode. It'd be the pilot would be the only episode, and we put it on our wall and be proud of it. Every once in a while he listens to the show, and every once in a while I hope he listens to a show. I love you, brother. You can always email the show, Tony@BarryLoanSource.com. We got an email. I'm not going to say his name. It's kind of a sticky situation. That's one of the reasons I don't want to say his name, but so his HOA is threatening to put a lien on their condo if they do not pay for emergency special assessment repairs. The homeowners have not voted yet, but if passed, each homeowner would have to pay over $70,000 or about $500 a month for several years. Our values have already dropped, and any advice, please? How do I get out of this place? So we've talked for many years about getting condos, and unfortunately, that's really a lot of what's being built right now. And you certainly run into something like this. Now, we saw a lot more of these types of things during the real estate crisis, when a lot of people were bailing. HOA dues weren't being paid. The repairs weren't being made. There were lawsuits left and right. In fact, somebody said the condo, the first thing I said, are you in litigation? And, 50% of the time they'd say yes. I'm like, I'm sorry, we don't have any lenders. We do now. So if there's litigation, we do have those types of lenders. But how do you fight something like this? What do you do? I mean, this is a client that not a client, but somebody who's emailed us in the past and said, I want to step up to a single family residence. Should I sell? And, we kind of gave him some good advice. I mean, condos really started becoming a very popular option for first-time home buyers and affordable housing. And it did push home values way above where they were back in 2007. And he didn't sell. And now he's stuck, probably not being able to sell his house until this thing gets fixed.
Well, I've seen this problem over and over again. Like everything else in life, there's good with the HOA, and there's also bad with the HOA. When you are an HOA, you're in a community. Everything that other person does have some type of residual connection to your property, hence value. One of the most important things that I see is people don't get involved in the HOA. I told this story in the air before about this lady that I was doing a transaction for years ago, and the lady came home, and there was painting the complex, and it was pink. And what had happened was there was only one person showed up at the meeting, lady in charge of the
And she liked pink.
and she painted the complex pink, which is her favorite color. So they expend the money to repaint it. And you have to participate. So when you don't participate, these are the outcomes that happen, and then you are now fixed with a massive bill. Now you can't sell it. You got litigation going on. All hell breaks loose in these complexes. You got to stay involved in this situation because it's your money that they're spending or lack of managing. The reserves account. Something probably major happened in that community. Something was neglected for a long time, and it's a massive repair to redo the whole complex. There's not enough money in the reserve account to cover it, and this is why there's a special assessment. They got to pay it. They have to pay it.
Yeah,
There's no way around it.
or even worst case scenario, lawsuits. And when you get in a lawsuit, then yes, there are programs available for people, condos that need to be refinanced or bought that allow litigations. But if people stop paying their HOA dues and you start compounding the issues that are going on in a condo complex, then it becomes very difficult. I'm not going to say this place is going to sink, but advice maybe turn into a rental. But how are you going to get because he was planning on equity out of the house to use that on the new property. I think you might be stuck for a little bit until this figures out, and maybe encourage people to jump on board and get this thing fixed as soon as possible.
My suggestion is get involved, get 3, 4, 5, 6 bids for that work. That's a massive number. I think the place got to be falling down for that type of a number.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Somebody might be profiting off of that particular circumstance.
You can always email the show, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com. Thank you very much for the email. We'll come back after this break here on AM 1220. Don't forget to go to our website, BayAreaLoanSource.com, for any podcasts, and we'll come right back after this break.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I am Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
Talking everything we can about real estate, local, state, national. One of the big stories that we've been kind of following, I don't know, since about mid 2017, maybe it was a little bit earlier, Amazon, where they're going to put their new headquarters, HQ2, and they should shorten their list down to 20. I like most of these cities. I disagree with places like Boston and Chicago and Dallas and Los Angeles. Los Angeles is the only Western city. Denver, I think, is the next closest one. I disagree with Miami. I like Nashville. I don't like New York. I don't like Newark. I don't like Philly. I don't like Pittsburgh. All right.
Well, there's one man's opinion.
Okay, I'm just saying. But the ones I like, you have to let me at least finish the ones I like too.
Okay.
And I'm going to do this in reverse order here. I like Nashville. I don't like Montgomery County. I don't like Columbus, but I really like Austin. I really like Atlanta, and I really like Northern Virginia, and I really like Raleigh. I think Raleigh or Northern Virginia have a huge opportunity. They're looking for affordable housing for their employees. They're looking for an abundance of educated and willing employees. They're looking for land, convenience, and you stick yourself in one of these big cities, it's going to be costly. Yeah, okay. So then you look at a place like Northern Virginia, and they have the infrastructure. They have an air. You go to Western Fairfax County, they got a Dulles Airport right there. Boom, and they got an abundance of affordable housing out there. Raleigh, North Carolina, boom. You have 3 colleges right there. Research Triangle, boom. You're done. Atlanta, you got the housing. You got affordable housing for your employees. A huge airport. I mean, there's. I just don't like. I think I'm not a betting man in this sense. I'm going to take a good guess. I think it's going to be Raleigh or Northern Virginia.
Well, I'm not going to go with choices that I like. If I'm a betting man from an economic standpoint, from a predictable standpoint, the 2 cities that I believe that they're going to choose, it's going to be between Newark, New Jersey, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Those 2 cities makes the most amount of economic sense. If you consider the headquarters in Seattle, Washington, I think they want to be as east as possible. So I don't see Los Angeles, I don't see Denver, I don't see Texas. I see the east, which is Philadelphia, or Newark, New Jersey, is my 2 cities.
A city in Georgia offered to change its name to Amazon if they were to be selected. They have a population of 53,000. That they increase it by 20,000 employees. So what's that? Another 40%, 35% increase in their population if that many people move there. So I don't know if that would work. But another place, Pittsburgh, said they would give a free sandwich to every Amazon employee. I think only 1 sandwich, but I mean,
wowee.
I mean, I think you can get a free Subway coupon fashion to get a freaking Amazon headquarters in your city. With that said, I'm still following this. I think I'm not going to say go out and buy a property or buy some land somewhere in one of these in 20 cities, but I think that if I have friends that have property in Raleigh. I have family that have property in Northern Virginia. So I'm a little partial. I'm a little biased on those, but I'm kind of maybe putting the seed out there. Maybe what's his name? Jeff Bezos. Is that his name? Okay. Richest man in the world. I should know who it is.
Well, maybe you should call him.
Maybe he's hearing, or somebody.
He probably listened to the show.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff.
All right.
Freddie Mac. We talked about interest rates rising. 4.04% on the survey. That's up from last week of 3.99%. 5-year ARM is up. 15-year is up. Everything's up. By no means is this slowing down the demand for housing. One of the housing markets or the sectors in the housing market that's not keeping up with the demand, and that's for affordable housing and millennials. What do you tell a millennial? So, it could be a single person, a couple, dual incomes going into buying a property that, they save $50,000 to $100,000. Are they even looking in the Bay Area anymore?
I mean, they are, because unfortunately, we say a lot of different things about affordable housing and these different type cities, but the money is not in those other cities that they are here. So a lot of times,
but neither is the housing.
The housing
isn't here.
The housing is
they're going to single family or high end condos.
I believe housing is secondary for a millennium. A person just starting out. My daughter's a millennium, and all they talk about millennium. All they talk about is money. They're just starting out. They want to make as much money as they can. Nobody wants to move to Pocatello, Idaho, to find great affordable housing and get paid, $30,000 a year. They want them in the big cities. That's where the money. That's where the employment opportunities are. That's where transportation is, and that's what they like. They like the excitement, the bars, the action. That's what young people.
Do they also like the fact that 77 of the country's 100 most expensive zip codes were in California?
Well, The weather is here. It's the best weather in the country is in California, right? So you got to get. In order to get, you got to give. So there's a benefit here.
I don't
That's
know.
why people. That's
Idaho
why people
sounds pretty good.
sacrifice to be here because of the overall climate, the overall economics, the sports teams. You know, the liberal style of living. You know, that's what California is so important. You know, and my brother always said, if it doesn't happen until it happens in California.
So what do you think of the new trend then? Kind of making a big circle here over towards this, the other trend that not the trend, but the theme of the day, which is, you know, kind of this construction industry, the home improvement market, the HMI and all that stuff. Those are moving pretty high. You have, I'm sorry, that was the remodeling index. I didn't mean to say HMI, but we're looking at what they call granny units. It's a you have a backyard,
auxiliary housing.
Auxiliary
is the
housing.
legal term.
It could be in addition to your house. So is that a way to get around some of the laws saying, hey, I want to build a granny unit in my house say it's the city of Oakland or Alameda, and they say no, we just don't want any more traffic in our city. We don't. Can you build an attachment to your house instead of the granny unit and just call it like and then just once it, you know, you get the permits and you do it and then you close a wall, you know, and then and put a back door on it. And
No, you don't have to do that. I mean, that's what the state law says. The one thing is that the biggest issue with building or adding on or conversion rooms was always parking. Most cities want to discourage on-street parking. They want people to park in the garage. You know, they say off-street parking. The more off-street parking is, the better crime, less crime in the neighborhoods because you can always know who's in the neighborhoods. But right now, with the new law, as long as it's owner-occupied, you can add some type of granny unit onto that unit in most cities and be legal.
And then get some rents. Would you consider, if you're selling a house, doing any kind of rent, and we're running out of time in the segments, and we're trying to stay on this theme of home construction, home improvement, would you consider, if you're selling your house, adding square footage to your house, maybe an auxiliary unit or granny unit, and then to improve the value of your property and the desirability of it?
Well, you got to look at your cost analysis of what it's going to cost you, how long is it going to take, and what is the return on investment going for the additional square footage, additional rooms. That's what you got to look at.
All right.
Talk to the professional.
All right. Well, you can always email us. We love these kind of scenarios. We go through them every day. And the email is Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com. We'll come back after this break here on AM 1220 KDOW. You can always go to our website, BayAreaLoanSource.com, for podcasts.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
How's everybody doing out there? You can call the show 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220.
Or send us an email.
Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com. I think we haven't talked about some of the new not changes. We always talk about how products drive the market.
I'm a big proponent of not rates, it's products.
Products. Did I say rates?
No, you said products. I'm just reiterating that the more products you have in the marketplace, the more successful we can be because the more clients we can reach out to. It's a product-driven industry, not rates. Product.
I agree with you. I don't know why you had to say that I said rates.
I just want to make sure people are listening. Products.
You want to make sure I was listening.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was listening. So we have really seen a good turnaround over the last couple of years with lenders. I mean, we have more lenders calling us, offering us some sort of niche product. We were talking off the air. I was like, we don't need any more. We don't need any more lenders because we have every product out there. But then somebody sends us something new and some sort of no employment verification on like multifamily office strip malls, mixed use industrial warehouse storage, restaurant, hotel, gas station. I mean, it's either they're running out of volume and investors like we just aren't having enough volume. Let's try another product, or they really are loosening their guidelines. I think it's both, but this product right here, maximum LTV 70% or 30% down, 70% LTV. You can even have defaults, foreclosures. You can have no employment verification, no FICO score required, rates as low as it's somewhere in the sixes, closes as little as 72 hours. I mean, these are the kind of products that. Doesn't it sound like a stretch though when lenders are starting to do this, Gordon? And
no.
Shouldn't we try to keep our paper as clean as possible?
It's a trend. It's like a Ponzi scheme, believe it or not. The business that we're in. when you have enough, when business becomes very good, if you talk about lack of inventory, there comes a point in time where in order to keep that business going, you have to bring in new clients. You got to bring in new borrowers. If everybody's already refinanced, now you have to go out and find people who you passed on before now to get them to refinance. So how do you do that? You have to get a little bit more creative on your product. You have to lower your standards in order to keep that cycle going. Classic, this is typically what happens, and this starts a downward trend in the marketplace. Classic, go back to history, and you see what I'm talking about.
Some of the other products that are out there, you can do 1 year out of foreclosure, 2 years out of foreclosure, 3 years out of foreclosure.
It was 7 years out of foreclosure.
It was. And they're decent rates. You're not going to get the prime rates, but they're decent rates. And these are all those portfolio lenders looking to capture a little bit more of those people who weren't able to refinance or buy previously. So don't give up if you're in a house and you're looking to refinance. Like I said earlier, there's lenders have come back years ago allowing condos that are in litigation or have some sort of issue where they can't get a warrantable product sold to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, and they're out there. You need a little bit more equity, but guess what? We have more equity growing.
I've got a client call me today. She's in a condominium complex. She wasn't sure if she can get a loan because in the listing they said cash only, and the reason when she probed, she found out that there's less than 60% owner occupancy in the development, and also one particular investor owns 30% of the project, which means that they have
those
massive
are some of those red
foreclosure
flags. Yeah,
and so now there's a program. I can't take it to you just mentioned a non-warrantable condo, in which it's not a condo meets the Fannie Mae Freddie Mac terms. Rate's about 6.5%, but it's real doable. It's affordable housing in that particular development. And she's a first-time buyer, so it can work for her. She needs 20% down, but she's good with it.
You can always shoot us an email if you have a scenario you want to run by us, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com. We list some of these products on our website at BayAreaLoanSource.com. I always like phone calls. You can always look at our info online, BayAreaLoanSource.com.
I like faxes, 925-299-5395.
Yeah, too many numbers. We'll come back next week. Thanks for listening. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. This is The Real Estate Report. Thanks for joining us.